Hi, kindergartners. Today is the last day of science. I hope you have had fun exploring with Miss Allen and I, learning all about worms. And yesterday we talked about compost. Now, we learned the importance of compost. We learned what kind of things go into compost, and we learned how worms can help with compost. Well, worms are called decomposers, which means they eat up or decompose all of the material in compost to make it right into soil for our plants and our flowers to grow. It gives them the nutrients from this compost. Now, these worms, these decomposers, they eat up all of the food, which is called decomposing, and then it passes through them and acts as compost coming out the other side. We can turn garbage into a garden by composting. So we can take all of the materials from our scraps, from leaves, and we turn them into soil through composting. Yesterday, for your CSA activity, you practiced this. So let's review it together. Is it okay to compost, or are they not okay to compost?
First, let's look at our newspaper. Can we compost newspaper or can we not compost it? We can! Worms love newspaper. An apple core. Remember, when we're done with our apples, we can compost them. It's great for the soil. Our leaves. Remember, leaves that are green or brown can both be composted. Same with dead flowers or flowers that are dying. Those go great in our compost. Our scraps from our kitchen, including these bananas, that can be composted. Ooh, remember, red meat. We cannot compost that because it is really stinky and might attract other animals to come eat our compost. Plastic water bottles. Now, there are some plastic water bottles that you can compost, but most of the time you can't. So we're going to put it there. Eggshells. Those definitely can be composted. Worms especially love them. Cardboard boxes. Those can be composted, but only in certain cases. And cheese. We cannot compost cheese. It is too stinky. Nice job.
A lot of food you eat can be made into compost. Fruits, vegetables, salads, even nuts. Those coffee grounds that I'm sure your parents are using to drink in their coffee grounds, the paper filters, and even tea bags can be used to compost. Bread, cereal, pasta, and rice, that can all go into compost. Even eggshells. And I know that worms love to eat eggshells, especially in their compost, and dead flowers and leaves. All of those things can be made into compost. There are some things, though, that cannot go into compost. Any kind of meat that you have, even if it's leftover, it can't go into compost. So beef, fish, poultry, or pork, that can't go into compost. Oil, dairy, so milk, that can't go into compost. Plastic bags, that can't be composted. And pet waste, so anything that comes out of your animals at home, that can't go into compost either. And we want to make sure that only things that can go into compost do. Remember from yesterday, we don't want to put things that might smell in the compost so that other animals don't try to come eat it. We want to save all the yummy compost for our flowers and our plants to eat, to make them grow nice and big. Even if you don't have a compost at home, you are still composting. Take a moment and think, have you ever seen a place where you might have composted? Hmm. Well, there is a place, and it is at school. At school, in the lunchroom, we compost. There are 3 stations at school when you are throwing away your food in the cafeteria. There is recycling, trash, and compost. So at school, all of that leftover food scraps that you're not eating anymore, it goes into compost, which can be made into the soil to feed our plants and our flowers. How cool is that? Even some parks have 3 stations where you can compost, recycle, or use the trash. So anytime you're using materials, I want you to think about, where do they go? Earlier in the year, we talked about recycling and trash. We looked at different items and we tried to figure out where do they go. Well, now you know another place that you can put your materials, and that is called the compost. So let's review the three areas that we can put our trash. The garbage is the first one. If you have yummy chips or cookies, those wrappers, they go right into the garbage. If you're ever using plastic silverware, so knives, spoons, forks, all of those only go in the garbage. If you use styrofoam, whether it's a styrofoam cup or a styrofoam package or materials, even those styrofoam packing peanuts, I know they're fun to play with, but those go in the garbage. Even rubber bands. You might have fun with them at your house, but when they break or snap or you're done with them, they go in the garbage. Our next place that we can put things is the recycling. Remember at school, when we're done with papers, they go into the recycling bin. So any kind of papers or newspapers or magazines, those can all be recycled into new materials. Same with cardboard and clean box boards. Those can all go into recycling as well. The third one that we just started to talk about is compost. So we can compost all of these materials like fruits and veggie scraps, our other kind of soil. So if we have food into our cardboard, once it's used, then that can go into the compost. But if it's brand new and we haven't used it before, then it can go into the recycling. Any kind of paper towels that you might have used before are coffee grounds and tea bags, coffee cups, and sandwiches. So those kind of food. Once you're done with your sandwich, if you still have those bread crusts on there, that can all go into composting to be made into something new. It's important to put your trash where it goes because if we only put things in garbage, it would all pile up. And we don't want our earth to look just like a big pile of garbage. So that's why it's important to compost and put things into recycling so they can be made into new things. So the next time you are eating food,
Maybe it's a
think
popsicle.
about where your garbage goes. Does garbage ever go on the floor? No, it doesn't. Your garbage will go into a special spot. Might be the recycling, it might be the compost, it might be the garbage or the trash, but there's always a place for it to go. So today, you're going to put your knowledge to the test. You are going to play a game on Seesaw that has to do with the compost bin, the recycling bin, and the trash bin. So think back on these materials and try to remember where do they go. You're going to play this game on Seesaw, and then you're going to complete an activity with 3 pages to really test out where you know that these materials should go.
In the Seesaw activity, first you're going to go in and click on the picture. It is going to take you to a website. Now the only thing you need to see on this website is the game we're going to play. So take 2 fingers and zoom it in so it is on your full screen. To play this game, you will be given 3 waste bins: the trash bin, the recycling bin, and the compost bin. You're going to see a lot of different waste materials and click the green OK button when you are ready to play. It's going to load and then you'll see all your waste bins. At the bottom, materials are going to come down the conveyor belt. Your job is to touch each of the materials and try to figure out where they go. Do they go in the compost, recycling, or trash? When you think you have the right one, let go of the material and it will fall in the bin. Touch the next material. It will say what it is. So this one's pizza box, compost, recycling, trash. I think recycling. I was right. Paper egg carton, compost, recycling, trash, recycling. Metal bottle caps, compost, recycling, trash, recycling. Plastic bottle caps, compost, recycling, trash, recycling. When you're done with the first row of items, more items are going to come down the conveyor belt. They will come all the way down and then you will touch each item and drag them where they go. Empty glass jars, compost, recycling, trash. If you are accidentally wrong, that's okay. We are all learning. It will have a big red mark and then you can just try again and figure out where these materials go when they are ready to be thrown away. More materials will keep coming down the conveyor belt until you are ready to be done. So when you are ready to finish the game, click the belly button and go back into Seesaw. Then click the green Add button to complete your Seesaw activity. There will be 3 pages of this activity with different materials at the bottom. On each page, you need to draw with your marker. Draw a line at each material and draw your arrow towards the waste bin where it should go. So watermelon, that is food. And pears, those are food. And eggshells are food. So those 3 things should be composted. You're going to do that on all 3 pages and click check, check when you're all done.
I hope you had a lot of fun learning all about worms and compost with Miss Allen and I. We sure miss you, but we love that you're still learning science. Have a great rest of your day.
And bye-bye from our little wormy friend.